So when we look at relationships, I want you to operate by these three kingdom principles: order, standards, and roles. So when I look at my life as a kingdom citizen, I always think about order, standards, and roles. That means this, that order, that means there's a proper way to approach everything. Think about mathematics. In mathematics, there is an order of operations. And understand this, in mathematics, there are rules. And the order of operations says, I don't care if you didn't want to do it that way first. Your answer is going to be wrong every time. Order of operations means that literally you have to understand that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Is the rule. And so please means whatever's in parentheses, do it first. So that means you cannot take a math problem and say, well, I decided in my spirit that Sally was first. So I did subtraction first. Because it was the first thing I saw. And it had 2 minus 3. That was the first part of the problem. So what I thought was you would go by the first thing you saw. No, order of operation says, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which means what is parentheses first. Exponents is second. Multiplication, third. Division, fourth. My dear aunt. Addition is next, and then subtraction is last. I don't care what kind of problem you get. The order of operations is the law of math. So they can make the problem as long as they want to. 2 plus 3 times in parentheses, open parentheses, 3 times 9 squared, close parentheses, minus 5 times 3 plus 7 equals what? And you say, I don't like that stuff. But if you understand the order of operations, you say, please, I got whatever's in parentheses, I got to do it first. Am I making sense? So imagine that in the kingdom, you try to operate in the kingdom without order. If you can't do math without order, how do you think you're going to operate in the kingdom without order? Am I making sense? Now, so order and then standards. That means there are ways of operation. It's not just what comes first, but that means that I don't even get to set in the kingdom what I believe is good. The king sets up what he believes is good. And whatever is excellent to me might not be excellent to him. What might be good to me might not be good to him. So that means that I've got to operate by the king's standards. I can't say, well, in my spirit, I felt that this was right. That's why I say things like nobody cares about that. And people say, I don't like when he said that. That is so mean. But I want you to understand operations. That it's order and then it's standards. Who gets to set the standards? That means the Bible gets to set the standard for my life. It doesn't matter whether I like it or not. Well, I don't believe that people should be told blah, 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 blah. You didn't set the standard. So take your belief and $3, and you can't get a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So take your belief and put it in the trash. Nobody likes that. You see how quiet it gets? But this will help you because see, standards means that you got to say, ooh, I don't want to do this. I'm so tired, so frustrated. And I say to myself, I wish I would. But then I said, and I looked and I said, let me look at what the biblical standard says. Ooh, the standards say you should do this. Now I'm in, I wish I would. But the standards say you should. I'm saying, I wish I would. But the kingdom standards say you should. So now I have a choice to make. Do I operate by the standards of you should Or do I operate by the standards of I wish I would? Now, every time I default to I wish I would, I already know that I'm going to get a poor outcome. Why? Because I tried to change the standards. Am I making sense? Making sense. And so this is going to help you. That means whenever you hear the word of God, the Lord, and you want to do something opposite, you got to say, well, Dr. Moody, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I say, search the scriptures. And you said, well, when I look at the Bible said to do that, but that's hard. And I didn't think that was fair. So now, Dr. Moody, what do I do? And I say, well, you know what the Bible says. Well, you didn't hear me. I said that was difficult. I said that was hard. I said that was going to actually make me have to go out and do extra that I didn't want to do. And I said, and that's the standard. And I'm making sense. See, this will help you. So that means when you get a call and somebody says, hey, listen, to operate in kingdom excellence, we need to go to the church and do this. Now, when you get that call to operate into kingdom excellence, we need to do A, B, and C. That's the kingdom excellence standard. To operate in kingdom excellence, we got to do A, B, and C. You can't insert your standard of as long as it's before 7 o'clock. I don't understand why they wait till 8 o'clock to call somebody. See, if it was me, it is not your standard. It's the king's standard. Am I making sense? See, I promise you, learning this principle tonight is going to make a lot of decisions a lot easier for you. Because even when you set your face up to argue and to be mad about something, you're going to say, order, standards, and roles. Am I in charge? I'm not in charge. So I'm not in charge. I didn't make the standards, and I didn't set the order. So then, my role is to submit. It makes life real simple. Am I making sense? Be obedient. I wish I would. It makes it so simple. So I don't want to listen to no man. Good. I don't believe in you should follow no man. Great. Don't follow a man. Follow kingdom order. Well, I don't believe you should follow no man. Great. Follow kingdom standards. Well, what's that? Well, I don't believe you should follow no man. Great. Follow kingdom roles. Okay. Are you the pastor? No. Are you the auxiliary head? No. Are you the assigned leader over this task? No. Then what's your role? Submission. Conversely, I am the auxiliary head. I am the leader. I don't get to arrange the standards based upon me. I am the leader. Well, I thought it was all right. No, it's kingdom standards. You see how this is going to help you so much? Because now when you hear something, you can say, order of operation, order, standards, roles. It's making life real simple for me. I don't have to wonder no more, nor do I have to argue in my mind. I just got to say, OSR. Order, standards, roles. And then I have to operate accordingly. Am I making sense? You see how simple this is? Now, Dr. Moody, how can you argue this biblically? See, this is one of the reasons why I love the kingdom drivers, because when you lay it out like this, then when we go and look at the Bible, it's going to make a lot of sense. Because kingdom relationships, I told you that the kingdom order is always structured based upon relationships. Kingdom relationships are always based upon order. So we don't operate in a democracy like we believe, or like we operate in American government. The reason why you argue your feelings and your vote is because you're thinking democracy. But as a kingdom person, I don't live in a democracy. So that's why nobody asked me for a vote. Am I making sense? So your problem is you're in a theocracy, but you're asking democracy questions. So you don't even. So wait a minute. That means so you're already out of order. Because you haven't even come to recognize that our government acknowledges that God alone is the highest authority. So my order is going to always be off. I'm going to say, well, what about? Well, I just think. Well, my opinion is. Well, where I come from. Well, my culture. My age. The way I operate. And notice everybody's and kingdom people are like, well, I don't know why we even having this conversation. What are we talking about? So this is why you know that when you're talking to somebody from the kingdom, because what happens is the language is off. Because kingdom people are like, I understand, it is. Yes, it's a little, it's a little troublesome. Mm-hmm. However, the standard is the standard. However, it's not our role. However, I want to stay in order. And that helps me to keep myself out of God's trouble. Joseph even said this, what man meant for evil, God meant for good. So even if they mean evil by me, because I'm operating on the kingdom order, God will even turn around their evil for my good. Am I making sense? Because we will say, I know they were trying to get me, and maybe they were. But you're not operating according to man's order. You're operating according to God's order. So then, submit as unto God. And then you will find out that it will work out for your good. Makes sense, right? So now, what tile? So theocracy. So now that means that we acknowledge God alone is the highest political authority, right? Do we see this in the Bible? Judges 8 and 22. Judges 8 and 22. Do we see a theocracy or a theocratic statement in the Bible? Judges 8 and 22. The men of Israel said to Gideon. Gideon had led them to victory. And so they're like, man, we're so grateful for you, Gideon, leading us into victory that you're going to be the man. They said, rule over us, your son and your grandson. They're like, man, you got 3 generations. You helped us so much. You our dude. Gideon says, why? Because you have delivered us from the Midian's power. So democracy says what? If you help me out, you can be my boss. Right? Gideon said to them, because he is thinking theocratic, he says, I will not rule over you, nor will my son rule over you. The Lord will rule over you. That's a theocratic statement. Am I making sense? So in a theocracy, we understand that God sends delegates. He sends delegated officials to operate in his interests. So that God sends people, he sends men and women. The Hebrew word for that person is a shaluach. That shaluach meant a man who represented the interests of somebody else. So when you see your pastor, what you see is a shaluach. When you see your leader, that represents a shaluach. Because that man or woman is representing God's interests. And then you appeal to them as unto the Lord. Now, this also means if they ask you to do something that's not biblical, you don't do it. Because that's not biblical. Am I making sense? So we can't have butt naked Fridays. That's not biblical. So I don't care. No, man of God. We're gonna call apostle. We're gonna call the elders. Elder. I'm gonna call pastor. Deaconess. I'm gonna call the head deacon. And we're gonna call the elders. Listen, we ain't not gonna do that, right? Right. However, if it's biblical, i.e. help with this, do this, help us advance the kingdom, then you say, well, dang, I don't really want to do it. I don't feel like doing it, but nevertheless. Even Jesus said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. So if Jesus had a nevertheless moment, why do you think that you won't have a nevertheless moment? So God sends delegated officials. So because I operate in theocracy, God's the highest authority. But God, being the highest authority, he can send a delegate in his stead. You don't have to say things like, well, if God don't say it to me, I didn't hear the Lord say it to me. Now, that's why you have a shaluach. And a shaluach, even in the Hebrew, was a delegated official that had the right to stand for you in all legal matters. In fact, a shaluach was so legally binding that literally at your wedding, a shaluach could stand in your stead at your wedding and speak the rights of the wedding. And then after the wedding, you will be declared legally married. Why? Because your shaluach said, I do. That's right. See, now, notice everybody like, whoa. Now, we're not talking, now, your shaluach couldn't go in and be intimate with you. But they had the right to get you into a legal contract. Am I making sense? So Dr. Moody, when we talk about shaluach, this is why we use the term, and you'll hear me talk about this, and you'll hear us talk about this all the time, the idea of apostolic. We'll say apostolic order. That's how apostolic order. We'll say this all the time. And sometimes when we say certain phrases or we use certain phrases, we don't realize that we've never explained that to you. So you're like, I don't know where they came from. So when you look at the term apostolic, it literally means relating to or traceable back to the apostles. Am I making sense? Relating to or tracing back to the apostles and their doctrine. In other words, apostolic means when we trace this back to the first century church, and we trace this back to the original church, we trace it back to the foundation of the church, we can see this is how they operated. And so now, based upon that, we're going to operate like that order. Why? Because remember, the kingdom is order, the kingdom is standard, the kingdom is roles. So if I can trace it back and say that's how God set it up originally, then we can operate by that now. That's right. That's being apostolic. That making sense? So apostolic literally means that we operate now according to how far we can trace it back and say, that is what the Bible taught. That principle is there. And so now I can take that principle now and move it up and say, now, since it was true then, it's true now. Clear enough? So that means this. So when I look at how they dealt with the apostles then, I can look at how I deal with the apostles now. When I look at how they dealt with pastors then, how they relate to church then, I can relate them to church now that same way. Why? Because that's being apostolic or apostolic. Does it make sense? Makes sense. And so things that, I don't believe you should ask for da-da-da-da. I don't believe you should do da-da-da-da. Based upon whom? Based upon what? Based upon your own standards. Not order. Not kingdom standards and not roles. It's based upon what you just established in your heart. And so if you can imagine people join the church all the time. And when they don't have this principle in operation, that's why all these little arguments flop up in your mind. Because you are arguing based upon personal standards, personal order, bad experiences, good experiences, what have you. My mother never talked to me that way. And so I don't believe that you should be rude and ask people and insist people do something. My parents always gave us 3 choices. And so when you hear something like, and saints, we got to be here next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you go, wow, that's just so abrasive. When you hear me saying, saints, you got to invite somebody. You with your young self, you with your old self, you with your, listen, it is your responsibility to fill these seats. You go, wow, that doesn't sit right in my spirit. I'm just saying, he should have marketed better if he wanted the people to come out. That's not my responsibility. Who says it wasn't? Your personal standards, your personal order. Am I making sense? Your personal roles. Because you can personalize your way to hell. And so, kingdom order is based upon the principle of reflection. In other words, when that I operate in a way that reflects how God operates. I look like God. I flow like God flows. So kingdom order is always based upon trying to reflect kingdom authority. Why do I have power when I lay hands on you and you get healed? Is it because Dr. Moody is a healer? No. It's because there is kingdom reflection going on. I'm operating, and I am just a conduit. The power of God is flowing through me. It is not coming from me. It is just flowing through me to you. That's all it is. It's reflective. Am I making sense? That's why Paul says, he argues, he says, follow me as I follow Christ. So that means that when you see your man of God, you say, well, I'm reflecting him because he's reflecting Christ. And that's what's happening. Now, so kingdom order is always based upon reflection. So apostolic order involves reflecting the image of God, not your personal desires. So kingdom structure has nothing to do with what you want. Nothing to do with where you came from. Listen, it has nothing to do with the circumstances of your life. Yeah, I need to be sensitive sometime. Has nothing to do with that. This is about advancing the kingdom of God. Because think about it. If kingdom order was based on personal desires, and God said, well, have it the way you want it, nobody would ever come to Christ. Why? Because I would never want to tell somebody you got a choice of heaven or hell. That's rude. I would never want to superimpose my beliefs on somebody else. But the kingdom says, yes, I do. I want to superimpose my beliefs on you. I never want to like make you feel forced to do something. Yes, I do. I want to make you understand that if you don't accept Jesus right now, if you don't make a choice right now, then what happens is you taking the chance that you're going to live until you get another opportunity. I don't know if that's going to happen. So if I were you, I would make that choice right now. See, now notice, but if you ask Charles Moody, I probably wouldn't operate that way. If you ask Charles Moody, I wouldn't care what you did. Personally, I'm like, it's your business. But Pastor Moody is like, come on, saints. You got to love him. Come on. Am I making sense? You know, Charles Moody can get in his car and go home. So it's not about our personal desires. So notice, so when you're talking to people, and this will help you, you'll recognize this real fast. When people start talking to you and they start arguing their personal desires, you're like, okay, you don't understand kingdom structure. So I need to teach you about kingdom structure. And people will argue and they will cry and they will tell you that sad story, everything else. And here's the deal. And it may be a true sad story. But it still may be out of structure. Am I making sense? Just because you had a bad day don't mean you can't submit. Clear enough. So kingdom order is reflection. It is not personal desires. So when you think about life, you think about living as a kingdom citizen, when you start talking about what I would do, you already know I'm out of bounds. I'm out of bounds. Why? Because I done set the standard. I moved the standard to me. Me and my family, where we came from, I'm already out of bounds. Well, Dr. Moody, what if we don't know the Bible? Aha, then shut up. Because you have nothing to argue about. I'm making sense. If you can't read, how you telling me I'm mispronouncing the word? See how? Can you read? No. What? You can't. How do you know? How do you know I'm not right? I just feel that you ain't right in my spirit.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you liked this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to The Rock ATX on YouTube and follow The Rock ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all The Rock is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.